High school football on idahosports.com is brought to you in part by your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. By Cable One, the face of fast. By Z103, Idaho's #1 hit music channel. And by the Idaho Sports Prepcast, presented by Project Filter.
If you want to get out there, there's only one rig that'll really do it. The Toyota Tacoma. Get out there and get yours today. For details, see your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places.
Okay, so we drowned the fire, stirred it, drowned it again, and now just feel if it's cold.
Yeah.
Cool.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
I know. I already posted it.
Cable One brings high-speed internet to the greatest town on earth. Yours. Where your life story is written on every street corner. At Cable One, it's where we call home too. So the place you're most connected to is the place where you're connected to the world. The place that means everything is the place you can do anything. Cable One, high-speed internet comes home.
Why would you bully me?
Why would you bully me?
Why would you bully me?
Because it makes you feel cool? Because I'm different?
Do I touch a nerve?
Does making me feel bad make you feel good?
Why?
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 Bullying hurts. Bullying abuses. Bullying kills. Why would you bully me?
The Toyota Highlander. Seating for 8, 27 miles per gallon highway, and now with Toyota Safety Sense Standard. For details, visit buyatoyota.com or see your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places.
Daddy, where did my teddy come from?
Well, sweetie, your teddy came from a toy store just up the street.
No, I mean, where was he born?
A lot of great products and services are born right here in our own backyard. And your mommy and I choose to buy them because we like to support our local community. So, your teddy was born right here in Idaho, just like you.
Was Granny born in Idaho?
No, sweetie. Granny's from California.
Cable One brings high-speed internet to the greatest town on earth. Yours. Where your life story is written on every street corner. At Cable One, it's where we call home too. So the place you're most connected to is the place where you're connected to the world. The place that means everything is the place you can do anything. Cable One, high-speed internet comes home.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, what are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
Toyota Tundra. As safe as it is tough. American-made and ready to work or play. For details, see your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places.
High school football on idahosports.com is brought to you in part by your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. By Cable One, the face of fast. By Z103, Idaho's #1 hit music channel. And by the Idaho Sports Prepcast, presented by Project Filter.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Thunder Stadium here in Idaho Falls as we bring you another IdahoSports.com Game Streams production of High Country Conference football. Tonight, it is the Hillcrest Knights hosting the Shelley Russets on Senior Night. We're glad to have you with us here at Thunder Stadium alongside Lucas Gebhardt. My name is Matt Harris here to bring you the coverage. Could potentially be a little bit of a rainy night, lots of rain in the forecast. That's hence why we are in the booth right now. Normally we go up top for a little bit higher vantage point, but because we don't like spending money on equipment and not having to replace it and whatnot, we decided to come in the booth here tonight. But this is a big game for a couple of reasons, and different reasons for both teams. First, let's start with Hillcrest here, Lucas. They're coming off their biggest win of the season last week. They've essentially ensured their first playoff berth since 2011 after beating Skyline 13-12. But they can lock it down for sure and also win the conference title tonight should they defeat Shelley. So there's certainly a lot of motivation here outside of not only just wanting to win the game, but also it being senior night, but the opportunity to win the conference.
Right, and for Hillcrest last week, that win against Skyline, probably the biggest win for Hillcrest in years. This is a Hillcrest team that has been right on the cusp of making the playoffs the past couple of years, and they just haven't quite been able to get in. Last year is a great example of it. They were just on the wrong end of some tiebreakers last year, but they're feeling good about themselves over at Hillcrest, especially with that big win against Skyline last week. And they can, like you said, Matt, they can lock up a playoff spot here tonight. And for those Hillcrest fans, Hillcrest will be the first team to tell you that you're not in the playoffs till you're in the playoffs.
That's right. They know all about those close games and whatnot. This is a team that they're not afraid to run the ball either. In fact, last week they held the football for the first 11 minutes and I think 6 seconds of the first quarter. That was their first possession. Just run. And if you look at the stats here, Lucas, that's going to basically tell you the story. Quarterback Kyle Austin, 31 rushing attempts for 115 yards and 2 touchdowns. Oakley Hussey, 20 rushing attempts for 107 yards. Taylor Sloan, 5 rushing attempts for 26 yards. And that's, of course, without their stud, Jordan Neuerberg, who is out with a knee injury. So you see how much they want to run the football here.
Right. They just threw the ball 6 times last week, and especially without their big running back, Neuerberg. Last week, Oakley Hussey, just picked up right where he left off. Big game for him last week. It was a close one against Hillcrest. I think a key for them tonight is going to be avoiding that hangover-style game, coming off a big win against a team like Skyline. Then you have a team like Shelley, who's up from 3A. Hillcrest coming down from 5A. They got to be careful not to fall into the trap tonight, especially on a rainy, kind of overcast night.
And you look at Shelley, on the other hand. Now, they have not missed the playoffs since 2001, but as it stands right now, they're going to almost have to win out to really ensure themselves an opportunity to extend that streak. Of course, Shelley has spent a lot of time at 3A. They've only spent one stint at 4A before, and that was back in 2010 and 2011, where they fared very well at the 4A classification. This year, not quite so much. It's been kind of tough sledding so far for the Russets, but again, they're not out of it yet. They still have a lot ahead of them, and this game is pivotal for Shelley if they want to keep those playoff hopes alive, and you know that they're going to bring their best. That's what Shelley Russet football is.
Yeah, it's kind of do or die season-wise tonight for Shelley. They have to win this game. Otherwise, like you said, Matt, their chances of making the playoffs decrease significantly, and I'm not sure they get eliminated or not, but their chances definitely do come pretty close to 0 if they lose tonight.
And last week they came out against Bonneville. They kind of fell flat, couldn't get the job done, and fell 22-12, and that was almost one of those games that they had to have. So they may need to win out and also potentially get some extra help along the way. It'll be very interesting to see what kind of a game we see from the Russets here tonight.
Right, and that streak you talked about, you got to remember this is a very prolific Shelley program that spent a lot of time down in 3A, and that streak extends past their last stint up in 4A, which wasn't very long, but they still made the playoffs.
That's right.
In the 4A classification, made a deep run, lost to Bishop Kelly as well.
Let's get to the keys to victory for both teams. We'll begin with the Hillcrest Knights. First up, got to bring the heat here. Force the Russets to make decisions faster than they want to.
Yeah, that's the key right there against Hillcrest. This is a team that's going to run the ball until next Saturday for Hillcrest. Right. They're going to run it, and then when they're tired of running it, they're going to run it more. So you got to stack the box. You got to get 8 guys in the box. You have to make Hillcrest beat you with the pass.
Second of all, play action. We talked about the pass kind of going into that right there. Hillcrest will run the ball all the time, but they haven't had the tendency to mix in that play action pass, which can really keep the defense on their toes.
Right, and I think if you look at last week's stats, they're 3 for 6 through the air. That's a 50% completion percentage. A lot of those are coming off play action.
Finally, got to limit the penalties. Those penalties kill momentum. They stall drives. Got to limit those as much as possible and play a clean game.
Yeah, especially when you, like you said, run the ball as much as Hillcrest. Those holding penalties, I mean, we talk about it in almost every broadcast. They kill drives.
As for the Shelley Russets, let's get to their keys to victory now. First up for the Russets, got to have a fast start. You can't fall behind early and have to try to dig yourselves out of that hole because it expends a lot of energy, and it's just very, very difficult to do if you're already playing, you're down 7, 14 points, whatever it may be.
Right, especially when you're a team like Shelley that's not a lot of people are picking to win this game. If you're going to pull an upset, you have to start fast. You have to keep that momentum riding the whole game.
Second of all, get the Hillcrest offense off the field with 3 and outs. You got to have some of those over the course of the ball game. And of course, if you don't get the offense off the field, that means your defense is just going to get more and more tired over the course of the ball game. And you have to think, too, a lot of these guys are going to play both ways for the Russets, too.
Yeah, and you talk about those 3 and outs and those two-way things for Shelley as well as Hillcrest is going to try to control the clock as much as possible. And if you force those 3 and outs, that doesn't allow them to control the clock as much.
And finally, the turnover battle. Got to force turnovers, not commit any of their own.
Yep, and that's key right there to pulling an upset. You have to get yourself a couple extra offensive possessions.
So there are your keys to victory for both teams. We're going to take a short time out. When we return, we'll bring you high school football live and free here from Thunder Stadium on idahosports.com.
The Toyota Highlander. Seating for 8, 27 miles per gallon highway, and now with Toyota Safety Sense Standard. For details, visit buyatoyota.com or see your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places.
Daddy, where did my teddy come from?
Well, sweetie, your teddy came from a toy store just up the street.
No, I mean, where was he born?
A lot of great products and services are born right here in our own backyard. And your mommy and I choose to buy them because we like to support our local community. So, your teddy was born right here in Idaho, just like you.
Was Granny born in Idaho?
No, sweetie. Granny's from California.
Cable One brings high-speed internet to the greatest town on earth. Yours. Where your life story is written on every street corner. At Cable One, it's where we call home too. So the place you're most connected to is the place where you're connected to the world. The place that means everything is the place you can do anything. Cable One, high-speed internet comes home.
You're watching
See Hillcrest over there on that far side of the field wearing the red uniforms. Shelley is going to receive the opening kickoff. They will move towards the south goal as the pregame festivities continue here. While we have the opportunity, we want to thank some more of our sponsors here on idahosports.com. They include Cable One, your local Toyota dealer, the Idaho Sports Prepcast, presented by Project Filter, Swag Monkey Promotions as well, which is our idahosports.com player of the game sponsor. Our local power boosters this evening are eastidahonews.com, Wendy's Deliciously Different, Z103, KVO Cabinets, A&B Transmission, Porterhouse Inc., Cox Honey Farms, Hard Times Quick Stop, and Adrenaline Performance, and tonight's game sponsors, the Post-Register and the Idaho State Journal. So we are looking very much forward to tonight's contest. Of course, if you'd like to send in a shout-out, there's the email there on your screen, gamenight@idahosports.com. Includes your name, who you're cheering for, where you're watching from. Of course, you can comment on the Facebook comments tab at the bottom of the broadcast player as well.
And bear with us through the shakiness tonight. We are set up on top of 2 notebooks and kind of freehanding it tonight.
It's a little different, so to speak. Yeah, it's normally we're up on top of the press box, as we mentioned at the opening of the broadcast, but because of the rain or potential for rain, we decided to set up inside the press box, and the way that it's set up is, well, there's no tripod. We're not able to set up the tripod here, so that's just the way it goes.
Well, it beats having to buy a new camera and computer.
Absolutely. Well, we are ready to go here, set to kick as Gautama Haas for the Hillcrest Knights. Where's number 1? He is a 6'2 junior. Here's the kick down the right side of the field. That's going to go out of bounds at about the 5. So a miscue right off the bat for the Hillcrest Knights. And Shelley will have decent field position here to begin the contest.
That's not really the way you want to start for Hillcrest. For Shelley, I mean, that might be the first step to their fast start, which is what we talked about in the pregame.
That's right. Hillcrest record of 5-1 on the year. They are 3-0 in conference play. Shelley is 2-4 this year, and this is only their third conference game. They are 0-2 entering tonight's contest, led by Jake Monahan in his 4th year as the head coach. Record of 26-12, and I think Hillcrest is actually going to have to kick this away again. So the Russets are going to say, no, we want to try to return this against you.
Yeah, it looks like Shelley wants them to kick it again, which shows the confidence that they have in that kick return game.
So they're going to kick it again, and they're going to make them set up about 5 yards back. Haas was thinking, maybe they'll let me kick it from the 40 again. The official said, nope, not happening. Kevin Meyer, the head coach for Hillcrest, in his first season here. Of course, he's spent 30-plus years as a head coach in different stops around the country. He was in Nebraska the past couple of years before being hired here at Hillcrest High School. Haas set to kick.
You got to watch out for those quick onsides. A lot of teams try to do things like that, and sometimes they'll catch you off guard.
Here comes the kick. This one much better. And that's going to go into the end zone for a touchback. So the gamble does not pay off for the Russets, as they will have the football 1st and 10 at the 20. Instead of taking the football via the penalty, instead they decide to have Hillcrest kick it again, and now it'll be 1st and 10 from the 20 for Shelley. State media poll, state coaches poll came out earlier this week. Middleton, your #1 ranked team in both polls. Hillcrest, 2nd in both polls. Skyline, 3rd in both. And then when you get to 4 and 5 is where you have a little bit of discrepancy. Back on more on that in just a moment here. And flags fly. So we still haven't even snapped the football yet. We've already had 2 penalty flags in this contest. And this is going to be encroachment against Hillcrest.
2 penalties in 1 second of game time.
That's got to be some sort of a record. Here's Jake Ray. He is in the gun. Ray going to give on the near side, trying to cut upfield for the Russets is Cash Kantak. And Kantak brought down at the 31. That's a gain of 6 and a first down for the Russets.
That's a good job there from Shelley. First play from scrimmage. They're trying to get outside the tackles, which I think is a smart thing for Shelley to try to do. This is a very physical Hillcrest team on both sides of the football. It's tough to run between the tackles on these nights.
And they line up in the double wing. This is something that Fruitland did for many, many years in their offense. They just line up close together, then spread out really quickly, and then quickly snap the football. They were really, really good at it. Here's Ray on play action, throws right side. That's incomplete. The intended receiver on the far side of the field was Wyatt Remington for Shelley. And so that's going to bring up 2nd down and 10 here from the 31.
I'd like to see Shelley go back to the ground game here. I think that's really where Shelley's going to win this game, is if they can kind of beat Hillcrest at their own game. Just kind of shove it down their throats. It's kind of a not so good night for football. The weather is not ideal. It's windy, it's cold, it's looking like it might rain.
Here's Ray in trouble, steps up in the pocket. It's going to get popped at about the 34-yard line, so a gain of 3 right there for the Russets as the Knights' Taylor Sloan, 5'6" senior linebacker, on the stop. So that's going to bring up 3rd down here, and we'll call it about 6. Maybe a long 6. We'll go with that. Of course, we've got NLDS baseball on tonight. NLDS football, yeah, that's what it is. NLDS baseball on tonight. Rockies and the Brewers in extras. 4 receivers set now here for the Russets. Here's Ray, throws it out into the flat, hit the ground. It's actually picked up because it was a backwards pass. And in the end, for Shelley, Parker Hansen able to track it down and get forward to about the 38, but that's going to be about 3 yards shy of the first down, and out comes the punt unit.
That's a smart, good awareness play there for Shelley to pick up the football. I mean, we talked about turnovers being a key to victory in this one. You don't want to give Hillcrest the football on this side of the field.
Here's the snap on the punt for Shelley. They just barely get it off to Brandon McBride, it looks like. That ball goes out of bounds, and it will be spotted at the Hillcrest 33. So not the best kick overall for the Russets, but unable to get anything really going on that first offensive possession outside of their very first down and 10 set.
Yeah, and I think a lot of credit needs to go to Hillcrest for that. This is a very good defensive team. It's just defense and running the football. That's kind of their formula, and it's worked out pretty well for them so far this year. And with the win against Skyline last week, now they're the number 2 team in the state.
So here out comes Hillcrest. They're going to line up in the I formation from the 33. Toss it back to Oakley Hussey. No, left side on the run for Hillcrest is Kyler Stevens, and Stevens going to get out of bounds at the Shelley 40-yard line. Gain of 27 on the first play from scrimmage for Hillcrest and a first down.
It's just next man up for this Hillcrest backfield. Nuremberg goes down. Hussey has the big game last week. Now here's another running back for you.
Again, Kyler Stevens, the man on the run there. It appeared. Have to make sure to pull out these binoculars I have just to make sure we get that right. Toss it back once again, coming to the right side this time for Hillcrest on the run. Coming to the near side of the field and finally brought down at the 15-yard line for the Knights once again is Stevens. Remington on the stop for the Russets. Another big gain. Gain of 25 that time for the Knights.
And just like that, Hillcrest is in the red zone. Down to the 15-yard line, only took them 2 plays.
When we talked about how they played a ball control sort of game last week against Shelley, or I beg your pardon, against Skyline. So far that has not been the case. I formation again, pitch up left side. This time popped right at the line with Stevens, and on the stop for Hillcrest, or beg your pardon, for Shelley, was Cesar Dominguez. He got right in there. Dominguez, a junior.
Yeah, he did, and that's a good defensive stop there for Shelley, and they needed that after the 2 big plays defensively to get the stop like that. Stuff the run for 1 yard. For Hillcrest, with the team that runs the ball as much as they do, you're going to have plays like that. You're going to have plays that gain 1, 2, maybe a half yard.
It's now 2nd and 10 from the 15. Wind picking up here in Idaho Falls. Keeping himself this time is Kyle Austin, and Austin is brought down across the 10 to about the 8, so that'll be a gain of 7. Bring up 3rd and 3 now for Hillcrest.
And this is just where Hillcrest is going to grind away. I mean, they're not scared of 3rd and 3 at all. This is an offense that's designed to pick those up, and now you got to watch out for the play action here for Shelley.
Down to 8:15 remaining here in the first quarter. I formation once again. Austin going to try to go right up the middle. Lunges forward and comes up about a yard shy of the first down to about the 6-yard line. So that's going to bring up 4th and short here, and like you mentioned, Hillcrest's going to go for it here. They're not afraid of these sort of situations, and timeout going to be called on the field by Shelley here. They want to talk it over here before this 4th down play. We want to remind you, of course, to make sure to pick up your copy of the Idaho State Journal tomorrow morning, or head to idahostatejournal.com to catch up on all the happenings for your favorite teams. For your go-to coverage of the Idaho State Bengals, high school sports, the Gate City Grades, and more, the sports staff has you covered at the Idaho State Journal, empowering the community. As well, our good friends at the Post-Register want to remind you to pick up your copy of the Post-Register tomorrow morning, or head to prpreps.com to catch up on all the happenings for your favorite teams. For your go-to coverage of all high country schools, the sports staff has you covered at the Post-Register. Local, proven, essential. Of course, we've teamed up with both of those media outlets this year to help provide coverage of high school football and sports on idahosports.com.
As well as some others around the state as well.
That's right. The Idaho Press, the Lewiston Tribune, I believe, is one. We've got a lot, actually. It's kind of nice.
I think it's pretty much everybody except for the Statesman, I think. It's pretty much what it is.
Pretty much. Well, 4th and short here for the Knights. I formation once again for Hillcrest. Austin just going to go up the middle. Ooh, that's going to be close.
I don't know if he got that.
I don't know either. That's the initial spot is on the south side, on the Hillcrest side of the 5. What do they say?
It looks like they gave it to him as the offense is still on the field.
Yep, they are going to give it to him. I don't know, maybe it's just from the angle that we're standing at. But I couldn't tell. It certainly looked like it was a lot closer than it probably ended up being. We'll put it that way. So 1st and goal here for Hillcrest from the 5. Here's Austin in the gun. Rolls to his left, turns to the inside, still on his feet, and gets driven back. He made it down to about the 1. In the end, a gain of 4. And Lucas's Colorado Rockies just lost in extras to Milwaukee, so if he doesn't talk the rest of the night, you know why now.
Yeah, I gotta go collect myself here, yeah. But still coming down from that 13-inning game against the Cubs a couple of nights ago.
Right. That game was 5 hours long. I started listening to it just after 6, tuned in at about 8:30, and by 11 it had finally finished. 2nd and goal, up the middle. Austin, is he trying to lean in? And that is a touchdown for Hillcrest. Kyle Austin punches it in from 1 yard out, and Hillcrest is on the board. That one just pretty simple right there, Lucas. Just right up the gut. Use your strength, which is your offensive line.
Yeah, it's the bread and butter there for Hillcrest, and that's what they base this offense around. It's just run it. A lot of teams like to run it between the tackles. Hillcrest is a team, they like to run it between the guards. That's what they did right there and take the lead 6-0.
And the extra point attempt from Haas is good. That makes it Hillcrest 7, Shelley 0. 6 minutes and 40 seconds remaining here in the first quarter. We'll come back with the kickoff after these messages right here on idahosports.com. Don't go anywhere.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, what are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
Back here at Thunder Stadium on idahosports.com. First quarter action, 6 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. Hillcrest with the 7-0 lead. Matt Harris and Lucas Gebhardt here with you, bringing you coverage of this contest here on idahosports.com. Haas set to kick here for the Knights. Hillcrest had a harder time punching that in from inside the 15 than they did from their own 33 when they began that drive. Here comes the kick from Haas. That's going to go into the end zone about 8 yards deep for a touchback.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting drive there for Hillcrest. 2 plays, they were down to the 15, and then it turned out to be an 8 or 9 play drive. Took them another 7 plays to go the next 15 yards. They need to pick up a 4th down too.
Yeah. Well, 1st and 10 here for the Russets. While we have the opportunity, we want to thank our Power Booster sponsors today, EastIdahoNews.com, Wendy's Deliciously Different, Z103, KVO Cabinets, A&B Transmission, Porterhouse Inc., Cox Honey Farms, Hard Times Quick Stop, and Adrenaline Performance. 1st and 10 now from the 20. Here's Ray. Sets a little screen play to the right side, completes it to Remington, trying to turn up field, and Remington is dropped for a loss. Back to about the 19-yard line. Good coverage by Hillcrest to be able to pursue Remington following the setup of the screen pass to the right side.
Yeah, I think one thing that Shelley has found out this year is the defenses up in 4A are a little bit quicker than the defenses down in 3A. They love to run those screen passes. They like to get their athletes out in space, and it worked well for them against the smaller 3A schools.
Yeah, I think that if you want to say there's a more noticeable difference, I think if you were to compare all the classifications in between the two, the biggest difference to me is between 3A in 4A. Here's Ray. Screen pass across the left side, gets it to Cash Kantak, who gets wrapped up and dropped back at the 15. Forward progress to about the 17-yard line, so a loss of 2 in the end on the play. That's going to bring up 3rd down and 13 here for Shelley.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with you on that. The biggest difference between classifications is this 3A to 4A. Obviously, aside from 1A to 2A, where you're putting
8-man versus 11-man,
right, where you're putting more guys on the field, but
yeah, can't quite measure that one. That one's not fair. But
right.
I mean, you look here, 3A goes anywhere from about 320, I believe, to about 630. As Ray throws, completes it over now to Brandon McBride. He tried to turn upfield, actually tried to head backwards to try to make a loop around and only reached the 23-yard line before being brought down, and that's going to bring up 4th down. As we mentioned, 3A, anywhere between 320 and about 630, 639, I believe it is. But then, you go for what the start of 4A is, 640 to 1280, So, I mean, potentially, of course, Shelley was at the high end of 3A. They're playing schools at least twice as big as they are, for the most part. Here comes the kick from McBride. Ball's going to bounce inside the 50 and stop at the 46-yard line. So pretty good field position once again here for Hillcrest as they come out for their second offensive possession. 4:32 to play here in the first. We talked about the need for a fast start right now for the Russets. They have not gotten that so far.
No, they haven't. 6 plays and out a couple times. That's what Shelley's done so far. Well, they did pick up a first down their last drive.
Yeah, they did.
Okay, so they've run about 7 or 8 plays at this point. So you just have to sustain some drives, especially early on. You don't need to score touchdowns, but you need to get the ball out to midfield, flip the field position, do things like that to keep this Hillcrest offense off the field.
1st and 10 here for the Knights from the 46. Here's Austin in the gun. 3 receiver set. Actually, it's Seth Curtis in there at quarterback. He's going to pump and throw deep down the field. That's picked off by Shelley. Interception on the first pass of the game for the Hillcrest Knights. And coming away with it for the Russets was number 6, Parker Hansen. Hansen, the senior wide-out running back, defensive back, and he was able to step right in front of the receiver and come down with that on an excellent play.
Yeah, it's a great job to high point the football. That's a receiver drill that a lot of receivers and pretty much every team across the state will practicing high pointing the football. You'll see some of the best DBs in the game. Richard Sherman comes to mind. Those DBs, Patrick Peterson, they high point the football. That's why they get those interceptions.
So Shelley now +1 in the turnover category in this contest. It's 1st and 10 now from about the 13-yard line. Pass completed to the near side to Cole Carter. Carter trying to drive upfield, able to spin away from one defender, and then is finally brought down out of bounds, and that's going to tack on 15 more yards for a late hit. He was brought out at about the 20-yard line, I believe. Might have been just shy of that. But regardless, that's going to be a first down here for Shelley, courtesy of the late hit.
Yeah, and that's 2 plays in a row where Hillcrest has not really had things go their way, and those things are just inexcusable for those late hits, especially for how far out of bounds he was.
Yeah. It's not, and there's along the sideline, there's that little buffer zone where the players that are on the sideline have to stand back. It was a good 2 yards past that line. And so because of the penalty now, it's 1st and 10 here for the Shelley Russets from the 35, and the chains, there's something wrong with the chains on the near side of the field. They haven't set up the chains just yet. They're trying to get them untangled or something of that sort. Again, thanks to tonight's game sponsors, the Post-Register and the Idaho State Journal. Now they've got the chains reset here. It's 1st and 10 now for the Russets from the 35. 4 receiver set with trips to the far side. Ray on a little RPO keeps it himself, and he gets brought down at the line of scrimmage for no gain.
I just love watching the RPO. It's just a fun play to watch. Especially down here at the high school level, you see teams like the Chiefs running at the NFL level. As a Denver fan, it's
annoying
more
to
frustrating
watch, right?
than pleasing to watch. But
I felt bad for Lucas on Monday because not only did the Broncos lose to the Chiefs, but the Rockies lost to the Dodgers. And
At about noon, it was a great day at about noon. And then once about 10:30 rolled around, I was about ready to go to bed.
2nd and 10. Ray throws left side, going deep, has a man. It's Brandon McBride. McBride to the 20 and is brought down inside the 15-yard line. Did you see the wheels of McBride to catch up to that pass? It looked like Ray had overshot him, but McBride turned on the jets down the left side of the field and able to get it into Hillcrest territory. They are in the red zone down to the 11-yard line.
Well, that's a big play there for Shelley, and great time to dial it up too. Hillcrest was kind of bringing some safeties in. They were starting to stack the box. They send McBride down the seam, and they get a big play.
1st and 10 now from the 11. Here's Ray. High snap. To go keeping himself up the middle, and he gets crunched inside the 10 to about the 9. That'll be a gain of 2. Looked like the first man there for Hillcrest was Jordan Peterson. And again, we apologize if the camera's a little shaky tonight. Kind of an unorthodox setup here at the stadium. Just going to move something here real fast. There we go. There's a cord about to be in your way, right in the way of the camera, potentially. 2nd down and 8 now from the 9. Ray, shovel pass, far side to Remington. Remington wrapped up in the backfield back at the 10. That'll be a loss of 1, maybe even 2, depending on the spot of the foul. And we're going to have a timeout here called by Shelley. Their second called timeout of this first half with 2:36 remaining in the first quarter. 3rd down coming up for the Russets. 7-0 your score. Hillcrest out in front. Back for more after these messages.
If you want to get out there, there's only one rig that'll really do it. The Toyota Tacoma. Get out there and get yours today. For details, see your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. Toyota Tundra. As safe as it is tough. American-made and ready to work or play. For details, see your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places.
You're watching East Idaho Game Night. The Shelley Russets versus the Hillcrest Knights. Live on idahosports.com. Back in Idaho Falls at Thunder Stadium, Hillcrest leads at 7-0, but Shelley is threatening. 4 receivers for the Russets, 3 to the near side. Here's Ray out of the gun. Little shovel toss far side to Remington, trying to pick up a couple of blocks, has to turn back upfield and gets brought down inside the 10 to about the 8-yard line. So in the end, that'll be a gain of about 3 on what was 3rd down and 10. And so make it 4th and about 7 or 8 now. In fact, they're going to spot the football at about the 9, so make it 4th and 8 officially.
Yeah, this is a big play for Shelley. With how they got down here with McBride, that big play, you would love to punch it in if you're the Russets here.
So here they go. They're going to go spread formation. 5 receivers set, twins to the left, trips on the right. Here's Ray in the gun, flushed out of the pocket to his right, looking, throws, end zone. Is it brought in? And the answer is yes, that's a touchdown for Shelley. We'll try to see who came down with that one. I couldn't even tell you who came down with that one. Might have been Brandon McBride, to be honest with you. And now Shelley will attempt the extra point. It'll be McBride to kick. Snap is good. Hold is good. The kick is up. And the kick is good. That makes it Shelley 7, Hillcrest 7 here from Thunder Stadium. We'll take a timeout now. When we come back, the Shelley return kickoff back to Hillcrest here on idahosports.com.
Cable One brings high-speed internet to the greatest town on earth. Yours. Where your life story is written on every street corner. At Cable One, it's where we call home too. So the place you're most connected to is the place where you're connected to the world. The place that means everything is the place you can do anything. Cable One, high-speed internet comes home.
You're watching East Idaho Game Night. The Shelley Russets versus the Hillcrest Knights. Live on idahosports.com.
Back here at Thunder Stadium in Idaho Falls, the last touchdown pass caught by Parker Hansen from 8 yards out, and that was an excellent play drawn up on 4th down.
Yeah, it was, and 2 excellent play calls there from the Shelley coaching staff. One to get him down there with the long passing play to McBride, and then the other one to draw that up on a 4th and I believe it was 7 or 8.
Yep. 1:43 left here in the first quarter. Knotted up at 7 points apiece. By way of update, Highland leading Century 13-0 at the end of the first quarter. So Sven's pick, upset pick of the week, not looking too good. Here comes the kick now from McBride. Not quite as deep as he wanted it, but fielded at the 19, far side of the field. On the return, looks like that's Trey Henry. Henry down the near side, still with the football. Trey Henry still on his feet, coming down the near side. He's down to the 10, and it goes into the house for the touchdown. Well, how about that return for Hillcrest? All the way back, an 81-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. And he ran a little bit more than that.
It's quite the response there for the Knights, and special teams just such a big part of any type of football game, and that's why. They're just big momentum shifts, momentum swingers. If you're Shelley, you're kind of looking up at the scoreboard. You know, it's late in the first quarter. We're in it, 7-7. And then to have the kick get run back, just a momentum killer there for Shelley.
Here's the extra point attempt from Haas. The kick's up, and the kick is good. So 14-7 your score. Back at it here from Thunder Stadium in Idaho Falls. After these messages, Trey Henry, an 81-yard kickoff return for a touchdown.
Why would you bully me?
Why would you bully me?
Why would you bully me?
Because it makes you feel cool? Because I'm different?
Do I touch a nerve?
Does making me feel bad make you feel good?
Why?
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 Bullying hurts. Bullying abuses. Bullying kills. Why would you bully me?
Back here in Idaho Falls at Thunder Stadium, Matt Harris and Lucas Gebhardt here with you. 14-7, right as Shelley had tied it up. 17 seconds later, Hillcrest puts another touchdown on the board to regain the lead. Now Shelley will have the opportunity to try to match them once again.
I've only seen back-to-back kick returns once in my life, and it was at a college football game in Colorado. They call it the Rocky Mountain Showdown. It's when Colorado plays Colorado State. And as a Colorado State fan, Colorado State returned the second one, and it was awesome.
Kick goes 5 yards into the end zone, so there won't be a back-to-back kickoff returns for a touchdown, much to the chagrin of Lucas. But 1st and 10 from the 20 now for the Russets, as they'll try to get things going once again. And yeah, as you saw in that last drive, they had a lot more success, it felt like, once they tried to spread out Hillcrest's defense, so to speak.
Yeah, especially with the passing game, to get them down to the 15 on that last play. It makes Hillcrest take some guys out of the box and respect the pass a little more.
Now 1st and 10 from the 20 here for the Russets. 1:26 to play here in the opening quarter. Here's the snap. Hand off right side to Hansen. Hansen goes around the right end. He's going to gain about 3 yards on 1st down. So 2nd down and 7 upcoming here for Shelley as the ball is spotted near the 23-yard line. Clock still ticking. Kind of hard to believe that we're already in week 7 of high school football.
Yeah, I know.
Shocking, huh?
It is. Feels like just started last Tuesday.
2nd down and 7. Out of the pistol. Flags fly. And this is going to go against Hillcrest. Haas is going to be called for the encroachment here, and Haas is pleading his case. It's still going to be a 5-yard penalty, so what was 2nd and 7 will now become 2nd and 2 for the Shelley Russets with 43 seconds to go in the first quarter.
Shelley's usually a fairly disciplined team, so they're not going to commit a lot of penalties. So if you're Hillcrest, you got to watch out. You don't want to fall into the penalty trap, start giving the Russets some free yards.
2nd and short now. Pistol once again. 4-receiver set here for the Russets. Twins left and right. Here's Ray. Handoff up the middle. And nothing going again for Remington. Maybe brought down near the original line of scrimmage. And that appears to be the case. That'll bring up 3rd and 2 now. And that's going to be the final play of the first quarter. So after one period of play here at Thunder Stadium, it is Hillcrest 14, Shelley 7. We'll take a timeout and be back after these messages on IdahoSports.com.
High school football on IdahoSports.com is brought to you in part by your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. By Cable One, the face of fast. By Z103, Idaho's #1 hit music channel. And by the Idaho Sports Prepcast, presented by Project Filter.
The Toyota Highlander. Seating for 8, 27 miles per gallon highway, and now with Toyota Safety Sense Standard. For details, visit buyatoyota.com or see your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places.
You're watching East Idaho Game Night. The Shelley Russets versus the Hillcrest Knights. Live on IdahoSports.com.
Back at Thunder Stadium as we begin the second period of action here. Here's Ray under center. Spread formation, in fact. Ray throws across the middle, has a man. Parker Hansen can't reel it in. Nearly able to bring that in. Had he done so, he was off to the races just a little bit too far on the pass from Jake Ray.
Shelley has not been afraid to show that they're going to go to the air tonight. I mean, they showed it right there, and I think they found something in this Hillcrest defense in the seams. It's the second time they've almost burned them in that spot.
Now 4th down. Here comes the kick from McBride. Much better kick this time. Pushes his man all the way back to the 27-yard line. Then on the return for Hillcrest was Josh Norman, and he took a knee at the 19 as he slipped on the grass.
It's not raining now, but it was raining earlier today.
It's rained off and on here in Idaho Falls today, and of course as it gets colder, you get the conditions just worsen, so to speak. Well, now it is 1st and 10 here for Hillcrest after the missed opportunity by Shelley. All spotted at about the 19-yard line. Hillcrest on the season, averaging 30.2 points per game offensively, giving up about 16 defensively. Sweep to the far side of the field. On the run is Trey Henry, and Henry, still on his feet, finally gets pushed out of bounds at about the 32-33-yard line. So that's a gain of 14 and a first down for the Knights.
That's a good play call there from Hillcrest. Get outside the tackle, spread the Shelley defense out a little bit, and pick up the first down.
And for the most part for Hillcrest, we've just seen, kind of runs just off left tackle, off right tackle. We saw the one pass, which resulted in an INT. That's the first time we've really seen them try to get to the sideline. Ball's actually spotted back at the 30-yard line, so gain of 11 on the last play. 1st and 10 now for Hillcrest. Right side on the run for the Knights. Down the far side for Hillcrest on the run. Let's see if we can get a number on that. And it says Kyler Stevens on the roster. I'm not sure that's who it is. That might actually be Oakley Hussey.
You know, as problematic as our camera situation is tonight, I don't know how you see any of those numbers.
Yeah, for either team. We'll keep trying here. 1st and 10 here for Hillcrest. Inside the 40 at the 36. It is Oakley Hussey. So Hussey is number 29 tonight. And he's brought down on the play by Cesar Dominguez. Hussey normally wears number 12, but I think maybe with the fact that he's now the feature back in the Hillcrest offense, he's switched to more of a running back number as opposed to a generic wide receiver number.
And it kind of makes you wonder how severe that Newberg injury is if they switched his number.
I mean, I've heard out for the season. I haven't confirmed that, though. And so I guess I could probably go ask about it, but this time Curtis hands it off near side, trying to catch the corner is Haas, and Haas gets brought down near the line of scrimmage with a flag sitting back at the 37. And normally when it's in that area, you're probably going to see a hold.
Yeah, typically where that flag is sitting, that's usually what it is.
And that is the case, holding against Hillcrest. We talked about the need for Hillcrest to play a clean game, and for the most part, they haven't done that so far. You know, and there hasn't been much that they haven't, you know, succeeded at so far this year, but penalties have been an issue a little bit.
Yeah, and especially with the team that runs it as much as they can. A lot of their offense isn't really designed to pick up big chunks of yards at one time. So you got to avoid those penalties. You have to stay disciplined. And the number one thing that most running teams are, it's disciplined. They're usually very well coached, and they don't draw a ton of flags.
You got to think about like Wisconsin, for example.
It's a good example, yeah.
In college football. 2nd down and a mile here for Hillcrest, and flags fly again. And timeout first called here by Hillcrest. They had to call the timeout to prevent the delay of game penalty. So Hillcrest takes their first charge timeout of this first half, leading 14-7 with just over 10 minutes remaining here in the second quarter. I want to remind you that you can pick up your copy of the Post-Register tomorrow morning, or head to prpreps.com to catch up on all the happenings for your favorite teams. For your go-to coverage of all high country schools, the sports staff has you covered at the Post-Register. Local, proven, and essential. Our good friend Luke O'Rourke is here tonight. Saw him making some tweets in Twitterverse, Twitterland.
The Twitter world.
The Twitter world, yeah. So he's definitely here tonight. He is covering this contest as the wind appears to be picking up more so here in Idaho Falls. I don't know if you can feel it so much. You're in front of more windows than I am, but
my hand is cold.
I should have brought you a glove. That being said, the rain still has not been coming down yet. There was a 60% chance at game time. It is 2nd down and about 21. Handoff up the middle, on the run for Hillcrest is Taylor Sloan. Sloan still on his feet. Sloan brought down inside the 10. A huge run for Taylor Sloan, the 5'6" senior. Down and stopped at the 5. That is a big, big pickup.
Yeah, and for Shelley, they have to avoid those big chunk yards running the football, because if Hillcrest can rip off those big 20, 30-yard runs, you're not going to slow them down.
So now the Knights back up to the line. It is 1st and goal from the 5. Pitch back goes to Hussey, and he gets popped right at the line of scrimmage. Somehow might have fallen forward for a yard, but he took a shot right off the bat.
It kind of seems like Shelley can hold their own between the tackles, and it seems like where Hillcrest is having their success, or its success rather, is outside those tackles.
That's right. I would agree with that assessment, certainly. So Hillcrest comes back up to the line. 2nd and goal now from the 4. Curtis under center. Man in motion. Little jet sweep near side. On the run for Hillcrest was Trey Henry. Bowled over the first defender, but then as he tried to turn upfield, lost his footing, which we've seen a couple of times so far tonight. Gained 1 more yard down to the 3.
Yeah, I think an important thing to note of tonight is this is really the first bad weather high school football game we've had all year.
Yeah, there hasn't been much. I mean, the weather's been pretty good here in eastern Idaho for the most part. But October is normally when it starts to get a little iffy. Yeah, and I'm lucky enough that I haven't been rained on yet. I normally get rained on once a year when it comes to covering these games. I'm hoping this is tonight counts because then I'd be inside the box for it. Here's Curtis in the gun for Hillcrest. Rolls to his right, looking. Here comes the pressure. Curtis on the run. Ball goes down, and the penalty flag is thrown, but Curtis is brought down in the backfield. That'll be a sack dependent upon the penalty here. 2 Russets got in there.
I'm trying to think of what this might be. It came from the white hat. Normally when you see a hold, it's from the umpire. But, yeah, all right, holding.
Well, they're going to decline this penalty, and that's going to make it 4th down here. So right now the ball is spotted at approximately the 7-yard line, so officially a 4-yard loss on the last play and a credit of a sack to Shelley as timeout called on the field by Hillcrest. 8:12 remaining here in the 2nd quarter.
I'm surprised that Shelley didn't accept that penalty. It's 4-down territory for Hillcrest here. So you push him back 10 yards from the spot, you push him back to, it would have been a little outside the 30, past the 25 maybe, and then they'd have 3rd down and what is goal to go from there.
But that's a good point. Maybe they're trusting that they feel like their defense can step it up here on 4th down, which would also be a big momentum swing for them to be able to stop Hillcrest at that juncture.
Yeah, it would be, and especially because Hillcrest would go up 2 scores at that point. With 8 minutes left to go in the second, still plenty of time to mount something together, especially from Shelley's standpoint.
So here we go. It is 4th and goal now from the 7. Offset I formation with a 2-receiver set and Curtis under center. Henry is in motion. It is a play action. Setting up a screen to the left side. It goes to Oakley Hussey. Hussey still with the football, and Hussey brought down at the 17-yard line. A loss of 10 yards on the play and a turnover on downs. That went about as well for Shelley as they could have hoped for.
Yeah, it looked like they were in the Hillcrest huddle at that play. Kind of that type of deal where you're in practice and you're on the scout team defense, and the offense coordinator yells out what play they're going to run, and as outside linebacker you kind of cheat over there. Looked like it was one of those plays.
See, what we did is, on our high school team, we didn't always have enough players because all of our linemen played both ways.
Right.
And so they tend to put the defensive backs on the defensive line. Okay, try to get through and stop us. Stuff like that. It's quite comical. 1st and 10 here for Shelley. Spread formation for Ray. Throws across the middle, and that's going to fall incomplete. Looking for Hansen, I believe, going across the middle on a skinny post, and that falls incomplete.
I'm telling you, Matt, Shelley sees something from the seams. That's the 3rd time in the last, off the top of my head, 7 or 8 plays. They've run a skinny post in the slot like that.
And they had him there, and that's the thing is Hansen was there on the play. It just looked like the pass was just a little off.
Right.
You have to wonder, and that's the thing about halftime. Halftime is awesome for adjustments, to see what adjustments come from both sides. I'm curious what adjustments come from the Hillcrest defense in regard to that. Screen set up, near side, completed to Remington. Remington trying to turn upfield, gets knocked down near the 1st down marker. He might have enough. I think he does have enough for the 1st down. That's gain of 11 on the play, and a 1st down for the Shelley Russets with 7:50 remaining here in the 1st half.
That's a good play there from Shelley. And this whole offense is just based around just get the football to your playmakers and have your playmakers make plays.
Let athletes be athletes.
Exactly.
1st and 10 here from, about the 27. Here's Ray, looks left, throws left, and that pass is caught by Hansen. Forward to the 35. That'll be a gain of 8 and bring up 2nd and 2 for Shelley. Kind of a low pass that Hansen was able to reel in. As soon as he caught it, his knees were down.
Yeah, but that's a big completion there. It sets up a 2nd and manageable, a 2nd and 3, which opens up a ton of things you can do on 2nd down. You can run any play you want on 2nd and 3, but if it's 2nd and 10, it limits yourself a little bit.
Clock still moving, 7 minutes, 15 seconds remaining here in the first half. On the play, brought down in the backfield was Jake Ray, and there are flags on the field. Ball all the way back to the 27, which was where the 1st and 10 series began, and this penalty is going to go against Shelley. Holding against the Russets. And so Hillcrest is going to elect to decline the penalty, and that'll bring up 3rd and 10 here.
Yeah, I think the thought process was we'll take the 7 or 8 yard loss plus the loss of down.
I mean, it's almost 10 yards at that point.
Right.
So 3rd down and 10 here. Spread formation for Shelley. Here's Jake Ray with time, rolls to his right. Throws on the run, and that pass is dropped on the near side of the field. Trying to reel it in for Shelley was Wyatt Remington. Couldn't quite bring it in. He would have had the 1st down had he been able to do so. But instead, the punt unit comes out here for Shelley. It was 6:47 to go here in the first half.
I feel like this, when it's all said and done, is going to be kind of a win for Shelley because they were backed up against their own goalposts. It was 4th down. They got the turnover on downs. They picked up a 1st down, and now you can kind of flip the field position a little bit.
Here comes the kick from McBride. The snap was not very good, but the kick was excellent. Down to the 30-yard line. On the return now is Josh Norman trying to angle to the far side of the field. Penalty flag flies again. Big crackback block. Still on his feet is Norman. Norman still going with it and finally brought down inside the 20, but there is a penalty flag sitting all the way back at the 37-yard line. This one is probably going to come back, Lucas.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet a lot of things that this one's coming back.
This could be a big loss here for Hillcrest, depending on the play. There looks like there's 2 penalty flags. There's 1 flag and 1 hat on the field, which means it came from the same official.
Kick it out of bounds!
Now the officials are discussing here.
Well, one way it may not be as bad for Hillcrest is if we have offsetting penalties.
That's right. And the offsetting penalties in that sense, it's our good friend Lauren Jensen said he hates offsetting penalties because it still gives the advantage to the team that just ran the ball, down there, whatever it may be.
Right. Is he still officiating games?
He does basketball, yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't do football, but he does basketball. And a discussion now is when the linesman is talking with Jake Monahan. And Kevin Meyer on the far side for Hillcrest is seeking an explanation as well, and he'll get one now from the opposite linesman. This is the part where I wish we had a ref mic. So not only could we hear in our headsets what's happening, but the entire stadium could hear as well.
Or if we had Sven back in CUNA, acting as our rules expert,
yeah.
We could kick it back to him.
Hey Sven, how do you feel about this? Well, he might be more accurate than some of those NFL guys, though.
No kidding.
All right, so we've got, I believe, targeting against Hillcrest. Now, hang on just a second here. It's going to be Shelley football, it looks like, if I saw that right. So he motioned for targeting. It must have... Yeah, targeting. It's targeting against Hillcrest, and so that's going to give Shelley the football. It must have happened before the return.
It must have happened. Yeah, I was going to say it must have happened.
That's the only way I can think of it. Some rain starting to fall here now in Idaho Falls. So 1st and 10 here for the Russets as they catch a break. Out of the gun, Ray in trouble. Ray runs forward, lost the football, and Hillcrest got it back. Just like that, the Knights able to recover the football, and in the end, it will be Knights football following the fumble by Jake Ray, and it's now 1st and 10 in Shelley territory for Hillcrest.
Yeah, it's not the way you want to back that up if you're Shelley. For Hillcrest, fortunate for them to get the ball back after a penalty that should just never happen. A, because it's targeting. B, because you're giving Shelley a first down. But it all ended up working out for Hillcrest. They have the ball around midfield here.
1st and 10 now from the Shelley 47. Handoff goes to the fullback, Sloan, and he's off to the races again. Sloan to the 20, the 10, down to the 5, and out of bounds at about the 4. That's back-to-back big runs for Taylor Sloan. So 1st and goal now here for the Hillcrest Knights. And you've seen how big and how quickly they can run the football and pick up those big plays.
That's why they're second-ranked team in the state, is because they could, they're running it and they still rip off 30 yards.
And come back up to the line now. Handoff again to Sloan, falls forward and comes up 1 yard short of the goal line. Gain of 3 on 1st and goal. It'll bring up 2nd and goal now with 5:43 to go here in the first half.
Starting to sprinkle a little bit now outside.
It is. I had to shut the windows here because equipment was starting to get wet.
And we're inside.
Yeah.
There's a game I had at Firth. I think it was last year, maybe 2 years ago. We were inside the press box and we just got drenched.
Yeah, just depending on the way in which the rain is coming, right? Trying to go up the middle is Austin, falls forward and finally is able to roll his way into the end zone for the 1 yard touchdown push, I guess, if you want to call it that. Kyle Austin in for the score, makes it 20-7.
That's just Hillcrest 101 right there. You need a yard. Mano a mano, you just push forward. What you need, pick up the 6 points.
5:12 remaining in the second quarter. Here's Haas in to attempt the extra point. The kick is up, and the kick is good. So 21-7 your score after the miscue by Shelley. That turnover turns into points for the Knights. Back for the kickoff after these messages here on Idaho Sports. Don't go anywhere.
Okay, so we drowned the fire.
Yep.
Stirred it. Drowned it again. And now just feel if it's cold.
Yeah.
Cool.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
I know. I already posted it.
You're watching East Idaho Game Night. The Shelley Russets versus the Hillcrest Knights. Live on idahosports.com.
Back at Thunder Stadium in Idaho Falls, second quarter action. 5:12 to go here in the second quarter. 21-7 is your score. Hillcrest set to kick back. It'll be Haas for the Knights. A couple of men deep to receive for the Russets. It looks like Cash Kantak is back there. And I believe Parker Hansen. On the kick, another deep kick from Haas. This one angling to the sideline and bounces out of bounds at about the 5. So now you have to wonder if the Russets try to make him kick it again, or if they've learned their lesson this time and decided, you know what, we're just going to take the football.
I imagine they'll probably take the football this time.
Last time, I mean, granted, it was a strategy that they wanted to try last time to see if they could get some extra yardage. Didn't pan out for them. That's just the nature of it sometimes.
Well, it's just one of the many gambles that coaches and players take throughout the game. It's what makes this game so much fun to watch.
That's why the game is played on the field, not on paper.
That's right.
So they will take the football, 1st and 10 from the 35. 3 receivers. Check that. 4 receivers out to the far side. Here's Ray. Sets up a pass over there. It's a lateral pass. Ball is on the ground. And I believe Shelley got it back. It was not a very good pass from Jake Ray. That ball landed a few yards in front of his intended receiver. And that'll be a loss of 2 on the play for the Russets.
Yeah, you always have to make sure those screen passes are going forward, because for whatever reason, and we see it all the time at the high school level, you just don't complete it, then it's an incomplete pass, you don't have to worry about it.
Makes you wonder if they're maybe setting up a little bit of a double pass or something of that nature.
Yeah, it could have been, yeah.
I mean, BYU pulled that off to perfection against Wisconsin in that big upset earlier this year.
Yeah.
And that's what really gave them some momentum. Maybe the Russets were trying to do the same thing. 2nd down and 12 now from the 33. 4 receivers to the near side. Ray goes the opposite way over on the far side of the field. The pass is completed. I believe that's Parker Hansen. No, I take that back. That is Brandon McBride, the senior. Again, the numbers, they look cool, but they are hard to read. So we're trying to read all those numbers. Makes it an interesting game for us broadcasters. 4 minutes to play now here in the first quarter, 21-7. It is 3rd down and about 2. Maybe a long 2. Remington in motion to the far side. Here's Ray. Quick slant across the left side, completed to McBride. He gets pulled all the way back inside the 45, but his forward progress takes him to the 48-yard line, and that is plenty of yards for that 1st down.
Looked like that was Kyle Austin on the defense there for Hillcrest, who actually broke on the ball really nicely. Almost got there to break it up. That's kind of go-to pattern for man-to-man coverage, especially when they're playing off the receiver like that.
I was going to say, I think if he got there any earlier, it would have been pass interference potentially. But he played that about as well as you can, minus knocking the football away. 3:30 to go now in the first half. 1st and 10 here from the 48 in Shelley territory with a 4-receiver set. Remington motioning to the far side again. Ray pumps, looks, goes deep, right side, looking for a man, and too far for McBride. Looks like it was Austin on the defense there for Hillcrest, and that's going to bring up 2nd and 10. 3:15 remaining here in the first half. Clock stops on the incompletion. Of course, coming up at halftime, we'll review the keys to victory, give you some of our thoughts from this contest that's coming up here at halftime from Thunder Stadium. On 2nd and 10 now from the 48. Here's Ray out of the gun again, throws, completes that to Hansen. He's into Hillcrest territory, down across the 45 to about the 43, 1 yard shy of the 1st down. Clock still moving, down to 3 minutes to go here as the Russets trying to march downfield and add to their point total here, trying to draw and slice this deficit in half potentially.
Yeah, and for that reason, it's a big possession for Shelley to cut this Hillcrest lead in half before halftime.
3 receivers far left side this time. Ray going to keep it himself on a designed quarterback run, trying to pick up 1 yard. He might have got half the distance. So that's going to bring up 4th down here, 4th and short. Have to imagine that the Russets are going to go for it at this point.
Yeah, 4th and
a half yard.
If that, yeah, I mean, it's a no-brainer for me here.
Then comes the question of the play call. Do you try to go up the middle against Hillcrest? Do you try to go to the edges? Looks like they're going to rush up here to the line. And they will try to go up the middle. I'm not sure this one's going to go in Shelley's favor. There's still a battle here, and Ray is able to push through in the end. Almost looking a little hurricane-like. The whole formation just started twisting, and Ray was able to go around the left side. He only needed a half yard. He ended up getting about 2.5.
It looked like that whole scrum of 22 players was, like you said, just kind of
hurricane formation.
going in a circle, and then it looked like they'd stepped on like a carousel, and then that just kind of moved forward the half yard they needed it.
1:47 to go here as the clock's still moving. It's a fresh set of downs here for Hillcrest. For Shelley. 1st and 10 for the Russets. Here's Ray. Little bit of time. Trying to go deep, has a man and threw it out of bounds. The intended receiver, well, I should say the closest receiver to the pass was Wyatt Remington, who was wide open, but Ray missed him and just threw it away.
Yeah, he was throwing that one to the cheerleaders. I guess the cheerleaders are on the other side of the 50, but if they're standing on that side of the field,
they would have caught it.
That's right.
Looked like there was an assistant for Shelley on the sideline that did make the reception. So it'll bring up 2nd and 10 from the 40 now. 1 minute, 31 seconds to go here in the first half.
That was a good decision from Ray as well to realize there's nothing down the field. He got out of the pocket, lived for another day.
2nd down and 10. Spread formation. Ray looks, throws, going deep across the middle, had a man open, and an incomplete pass. The intended receiver was Parker Hansen. He was looking for a hold or a defensive pass interference. I know that the coaching staff for Shelley and some of the fans were begging for it, but no laundry on the field at all, which will bring up 3rd and 10 with 1:26 to play here in the second quarter.
Hillcrest has to address that at halftime.
Yeah, they've struggled.
Gotten really lucky so far that Shelley's only hit them on it once.
Yeah.
And so now it is 3rd and 10 from the 40. A little reverse coming to the near side. Kantak going deep, looking for a man. And is it caught? I think it is caught. Down to the 16-yard line. They will rule it a catch at the 15. And the penalty flag on the play for pass interference against Hillcrest with 1:17 to play. Regardless, Shelley was going to get 15 yards on the play, I believe, because they did the Hillcrest defense didn't turn around to try to make a play on the ball. Now they're going to rule it incomplete, but the penalty here will go against Hillcrest, so it'll still be Shelley football, courtesy of the 15-yard penalty, and that'll be another fresh set of downs here for the Russets.
I think it's going to result.
It should result in one.
Around the same yardage. Maybe they'll lose about 10. I'm trying to do some math here. Let's see.
Well, see, because it was only it was 3rd and 10.
Right.
And so it's a 15-yard penalty. So there you go. It'll move it to the 25. Well,
so they really only ended up losing about 8 yards.
Yeah. They didn't lose a ton. So, okay, I see what you're saying now. From what if it would have been a completed pass? That makes more sense. 1:17 to play here in the first half, and another fresh set of downs. 1st and 10 here for Shelley. Ray slant across the left side. Pass is caught down inside the 20 to about the 18. No, check that, the 19-yard line. As Brandon McBride able to make the reception. Clock still moving, though. Russets need to speed up their tempo here probably just a bit as we're into the final minute of play. I believe they have 1 timeout remaining. 2nd down and a long 4. Here's Ray. Here comes the rush. Throws all the way out of bounds, but a penalty flag on the play. I think this is going to go against Shelley.
Officiating crew from the Idaho State football game last Saturday that got suspended for this.
The kick, it's up on the way. The kick is good. That makes it 21-14. Hillcrest with the lead here. We will take a timeout and come back to the final.
It was a huge, huge touchdown for Shelley. He's done a pretty good job of sticking with Hillcrest through 2 of those 3 phases.
That's been the difference so far. And it's I didn't mention it in the keys to victory, but I certainly think we're going to bring that up here coming up at halftime when we chat about stuff. And so now Haas will line things up here. So it appears the rain has stopped once again, hopefully for good. Here comes Haas' kick. Deep kick once again, this time a bounce at the 12 and go out of bounds. So Kantak takes a gamble and lets that thing roll out of bounds just before the Hillcrest players reach that area. And Shelley's going to get the football, I believe, at 35 once again. 21 seconds to go here in the first half. An interesting first half, so to speak.
Yeah, it's been a very interesting first half to see the fight that Shelley's had, which I've been very impressed with through almost 2 quarters of football, and to see Hillcrest, the response to that. And, you know, if I'm Shelley, I think I'd call up that post up the seam right here.
And that's been pretty successful for the Russets. I should say it's been open for the Russets. If they can just get the connection between quarterback and receiver on target here, that could be a big strike weapon for Shelley. They're going to go spread formation here. 1st and 10 from the 35. Ray throws, completes it over to the 40-yard line to Hansen. Hansen brought down at the 40 and down to 12 seconds remaining. Shelley's going to quickly try to get one more play off here. They're going to have to hurry, though. They're down to 5 seconds. Down to 4 seconds, and I don't think they're going to get this off. Well, they are. 1.8 seconds remaining, and Jake Monahan's going to take his final timeout of the first half. Well, folks, we apologize if there's been some interruptions in the stream here. This area here in Idaho Falls, for whatever reason, just does not get good internet reception, or data reception this time of night. And so if the stream cuts in and out, we apologize for that. Unfortunately, not a whole lot we can do. We do have 2 different sources of internet here, though, so we'll see what happens there. But hopefully we can keep this game on for you as long as we can. So 27-14 is your score. Hillcrest with the lead here. If you're Shelley, you have one shot here. Trying to go for it all? Obviously, you'd hope.
You might as well. I mean, I guess the worst that could happen is it could result in a Hillcrest touchdown. But
right.
I think it's a risk you're willing to take. I mean, we've talked about it throughout the broadcast so far. It's do or die tonight for Shelley.
Yep.
You gotta go all in, if you will. You don't have to go all in quite yet, but you know, you're putting some chips on the table with a pair of 4s right here.
Let's see what the Russets dial up coming out of the timeout. 1.8 seconds remaining. This will be the final play of the first half, barring penalty. It's going to be a spread formation for the Russets. On the snap, Ray trying to step up and goes down in the backfield, and that ends the first half. So not what they wanted to do, not what they wanted to happen, but that's how things shake out for the Russets. They trail 27-14 here at halftime at Thunder Stadium on IdahoSports.com.
High school football on IdahoSports.com is brought to you in part by your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. By Cable One, the face of fast. By Z103, Idaho's #1 hit music channel. And by the Idaho Sports Prepcast, presented by Project Filter.
If you want to get out there, there's only one rig that'll really do it. The Toyota Tacoma. Get out there and get yours today. For details, see your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places.
Okay, so we drowned the fire.
Yep.
Stirred it. Drowned it again. And now just feel if it's cold.
Yeah.
Cool.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
I know. I already posted it.
Cable One brings high-speed internet to the greatest town on Earth. Yours. Where your life story is written on every street corner. At Cable One, it's where we call home too. So the place you're most connected to is the place where you're connected to the world. The place that means everything is the place you can do anything. Cable One, high-speed internet comes home.
Why would you bully me?
Why would you bully me?
Why would you bully me?
Because it makes you feel cool? Because I'm different?
Do I touch a nerve?
Does making me feel bad make you feel good?
Why?
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 Bullying hurts. Bullying abuses. Bullying kills. Why would you bully me?
The Toyota Highlander. Seating for 8, 27 miles per gallon highway, and now with Toyota Safety Sense Standard. For details, visit buyatoyota.com or see your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places.
Daddy, where did my teddy come from?
Well, sweetie, your teddy came from a toy store just up the street.
No, I mean, where was he born?
A lot of great products and services are born right here in our own backyard. And your mommy and I choose to buy them because we like to support our local community. So, your teddy was born right here in Idaho, just like you.
Was Granny born in Idaho?
No, sweetie. Granny's from California.
Cable One brings high-speed internet to the greatest town on earth. Yours. Where your life story is written on every street corner. At Cable One, it's where we call home too. So the place you're most connected to is the place where you're connected to the world. The place that means everything is the place you can do anything. Cable One, high-speed internet comes home.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, what are you...
Sports.com is brought to you in part by your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. By Cable One, the face of fast. By Z103, Idaho's #1 hit music channel. And by the Idaho Sports Prepcast, presented by Project Filter. Back here at Thunder Stadium in Idaho Falls, your halftime score, Hillcrest 27, Shelley 14. Matt Harris and Lucas Gebhardt here with you. Looking at this game right now, it very well could be a tie ball game, with the exception of, if you want to call it, excellent special teams play by Trey Henry and the blockers he has ahead of him for Hillcrest, or the atrocious special teams play for the Shelley Russets, depending on how you view it. But that has been the big difference in this ball game so far.
Yeah, I mean, that's 12 points off of kick returns, and both of them came off of Shelley touchdowns where, you know, Shelley scores a touchdown and you're kind of thinking, okay, they're in this thing now, and then Hillcrest runs back the kick. And it happened again in the second quarter. Shelley scores a touchdown with less than a minute left before halftime. You're thinking, all right, you know, they'll go to break down by one score, and then Hillcrest runs back the kick. You have to figure that out if you're Shelley, and for Hillcrest, I mean, maybe from Shelley's perspective, you don't even kick it deep for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
You do some squib kicks, you kick it to the sideline, you do whatever, because you kick it out of bounds. That's still better than giving up a kick return.
Right. And that's, like we mentioned, that was the big difference heading into this ball game, or I should say so far through the first half of this ball game, was the special teams. And, you know, for Shelley, they've matched, for the most part, if you look at just purely in the two phases of the game of offense and defense, they've matched Hillcrest in that regard, which has not been done by many teams so far this year. I mean, Skyline nearly did it. Madison pulled it off in the last few seconds. But for Hillcrest here, their excellence has come, or the reason they have the lead has come from their special teams play. So certainly for Hillcrest, you know, they're going to have some things things that you need to talk about. We talked about that little skinny post right up the middle in the slot. That has been a big hole for Hillcrest so far, and honestly, I feel like they're lucky that they haven't been burned by that more.
Well, they should have been burned by it more. It's just Shelley, execution-wise, hasn't been able to complete some of those passes. Really, if you look at this game, and we can play if and buts all night long, but if Shelley completes two of those skinny post plays, and then you take out the kick returns, the score could be flipped at halftime right now, and it could be Shelley 27, Hillcrest 14. But as you kind of wear on to the second half of this ball game, Hillcrest, I believe they played in 3 one-point ball games so far this season.
Yeah,
it's been at least 2.
Let me look here. I'll pull it up for you just to make sure. Yep, they've played. They lost to Madison 22-21 with 8 seconds remaining in that game. They beat Rigby 21-20. At Rigby, and then they beat Skyline here last week 13-12. So to have those one-point ball games is quite remarkable. You don't see that all that often.
So Hillcrest has definitely played in their fair share of tight ball games, and Shelley, they're doing what they need to do defensively. I think offensively they're running the football pretty well. They have they've kind of blown the top off of the Knights defense a couple times. There was that McBride long play that set up the first touchdown. They've been throwing the ball fairly efficiently with those quick slant routes. I'd look to see them to do more of that in the second half.
Let's get to the keys to victory for both teams here, and we'll start with the Hillcrest Knights. First up for them, they needed to bring the heat against Jake Grave and the Shelley Russets, and I think for the most part, they've done a not bad job. There's that last play of the second quarter really, they got to him, but for the most part, Ray has done a good job of getting outside the pocket and getting rid of the football relatively quickly. I think, though, that where they've brought the heat, where Hillcrest has brought the heat, especially in between the tackles, that's where they've been able to, stop Shelley's run game. And you've seen a lot more passing from Shelley in that first half as the half progressed.
Yeah, I think a lot of that was to do with that Shelley kind of felt like they had to score, especially towards the end of that second half. But, Hillcrest has done a good job of kind of stacking the box and making Ray throw the football before he wants to. And I think that's part of the reason they haven't hit some of those skinny posts.
Second key to victory was the play action, and I think we saw it once, and it resulted in an INT. But in previous games when we've seen it, they've run, and they throw in a play action, and Curtis or Austin or whoever it be throws it, and it's a beautiful ball, and they're able to pick up major yardage. But today they have really kind of shied away from that.
Yeah, and I wonder how much the weather is playing into that, because weather-wise, this is a Hillcrest dream.
Right.
It's windy, it's cold, it's been raining, the field's kind of slick, and so you almost wonder, because they threw it 6 times last week, we might see those numbers go down just because of the weather.
And finally, limiting penalties. And boy, there have been some big penalties in this ball game that have gone against Hillcrest. There's been some plays that have been brought back nearly 50 yards. There have been plays that have resulted in an ejection of a player. There's been a lot of penalties in this ball game that I think for Hillcrest, they're saying we need to clean these up because this is hurting us on the scoreboard.
Yeah, and obviously having a player ejected is never going to be good for your football team. So yeah, they need to clean up their penalties, especially offensively for Hillcrest. That's kind of been a problem for the Knights all year too.
And again, it appeared to be Jordan Peterson of Hillcrest who was ejected by the officials. As for the Shelley Russets, their keys to victory: number one, a fast start. And we mentioned that because you just can't fall behind against a team like Hillcrest. And they got down 7-0. Then they responded, and then immediately Hillcrest had the kickoff return for the touchdown to make it 14-7. Hillcrest goes up 21-7. Shelley goes that long drive down the field to end the second quarter, punches it in, makes it 21-14, and then on the ensuing kickoff, again another kickoff return for a touchdown to make it 27-14. We mentioned the need for a fast start. They didn't get it tonight, and that's why one of the reasons why you're seeing the score the way it is.
Yeah, they didn't really get off to a fast start, but I don't necessarily think that's hurt them tonight. Mostly because they've been able to put together some sustained drives throughout this game. That second touchdown drive comes to mind. They had some penalty yards that pushed them back. They had to face some adversity throughout that drive. So I think the fast start could play a role in both halves as well. I think if Shelley really comes out, makes some good adjustments, if they can get a big play coming out of the third quarter, I think that can do wonders for them.
And And as well, 3 and outs, trying to get that Hillcrest offense off the field, giving your defense a chance to rest, and so you're not always constantly out there. There's been times where I don't want to say that Hillcrest hasn't, or Shelley hasn't done that, but for the most part, there have been times where they'll get a big stop, and then they'll Hillcrest will pick up a big play, and then they'll push them back again, and then they'll pick up another big play. I don't feel like it's just been a 3 and out, and that's it for Hillcrest. So if that's the way that you look at that key to victory, then I would say that Shelley is failing in that regard. But for the most part, they've been able to battle back against this Hillcrest offense and get them off the field a couple times.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, it's just been the special teams that's really killed them. They're not really forcing a ton of 3 and outs, but they're also not getting a lot of 3 and outs on their side of the football as well, which has helped them out tremendously, because this is a Hillcrest team. The way it's built is they just wear you down in the second half. They pound the rock 25, 30 times, however many plays they have in the first half. They'll throw it maybe once or twice, and then they'll just keep coming after you in the second half. And for that reason, the Shelley offense, they have to stay on the field so you can give your defense a rest.
And finally, the turnover battle. Initially, Shelley was up in that regard. They had the INT off of the first passing play from Hillcrest in that first quarter. Then Jake Ray fumbled it and gave the possession right back to Hillcrest on a couple of possessions later, I should say. It's even in the turnover battle right now, but for Shelley, they're going to need to try to get back into the positive side of the category, maybe even 2, maybe even 3, to give themselves an opportunity to have some extra possessions to get back into the ball game.
Right. And part of that, I think, is start going for some strips. It's cold tonight. It's the first real cold weather football game of the year, and because of that, I think we're going to see a huge spike in turnovers this week, because especially if you're wearing those short sleeves, trying to act like a tough guy as a running back, and you get a helmet right in that forearm,
you're not going to feel that arm for the next little while.
Exactly.
Well, when I played high school football, I made sure to wear as much layering as they would allow. Just because
I was a receiver,
whip.
so I was allowed to.
Yeah. So. See, I was a receiver and a kicker,
right?
And so I'm like, well, I'm going to wear as much as I can, just because I'm a wimp and I don't like being cold. But there you go. So those are the keys to victory for the Shelley Russets again here at halftime. Hillcrest 27, Shelley 14. We'll take a timeout. When we return, we'll bring you more halftime report after this. You are watching high school football live and free right here on IdahoSports.com.
High school football on IdahoSports.com is brought to you in part by your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. By Cable One, the face of fast. By Z103, Idaho's #1 hit music channel. And by the Idaho Sports Prepcast, presented by Project Filter.
If you want to get out there, there's only one rig that'll really do it. The Toyota Tacoma. Get out there and get yours today. For details, see your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places.
Okay, so we drowned the fire, stirred it, drowned it again, and now just feel if it's cold.
Yeah.
Cool.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
I know. Already posted it.
Cable One brings high-speed internet to the greatest town on earth. Yours. Where your life story is written on every street corner. At Cable One, it's where we call home too. So the place you're most connected to is the place where you're connected to the world. The place that means everything is the place you can do anything. Cable One, high-speed internet comes home.
Why would you bully me?
Why would you bully me?
Why would you bully me?
Because it makes you feel cool? Because I'm different?
Do I touch a nerve?
Does making me feel bad make you feel good?
Why?
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 Bullying hurts. Bullying abuses. Bullying kills. Why would you bully me?
The Toyota Highlander. Seating for 8, 27 miles per gallon highway, and now with Toyota Safety Sense Standard. For details, visit buyatoyota.com or see your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places.
Daddy, where did my teddy come from?
Well, sweetie, your teddy came from a toy store just up the street.
No, I mean, where was he born?
A lot of great products and services are born right here in our own backyard. And your mommy and I choose to buy them because we like to support our local community. So, your teddy was born right here in Idaho, just like you.
Was Granny born in Idaho?
No, sweetie. Granny's from California.
Cable One brings high-speed internet to the greatest town on earth. Yours. Where your life story is written on every street corner. At Cable One, it's where we call home too. So the place you're most connected to is the place where you're connected to the world. The place that means everything is the place you can do anything. Cable One, high-speed internet comes home.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, what are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
Toyota Tundra. As safe as it is tough. American made and ready to work or play. For details, see your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places.
High school football on idahosports.com is brought to you in part by your local Toyota dealer. The face of fast. The second half. So set to kick here will be Brandon McBride. And we apologize if the stream cuts in and out just a bit here. I take that back. It's going to be Remington to kick. But I do apologize if the stream cuts out, the internet cutting in and out here for us at Thunder Stadium. And the ball just blew off the tee here.
Well, that'll just show you how windy it is tonight.
Yeah. We'll see if it stays on this time. Here comes the kick. And it's going to be a short kick, and they're going to angle that one out of bounds at about the 9.
You know, if I'm Hillcrest, might make them kick it again.
Right. Make them keep going until they actually kick it to you. See what they decide here. Maybe they'll take the football at the 35. And I think that's, well, no. Yep, they're going to make them do it again.
And Hillcrest, they've already run 2 back tonight, so make them kick it to you.
So they'll reset the clock to 12 minutes as they actually let a couple of seconds tick off the clock there. So Remington will kick it again, this time from the 35. Comes Remington's kick, this time bouncing, and fielded at the 34.
So now it'll be 1st and 10 here for the Hillcrest Knights. I formation, toss back right side. Here's Hussey on the run across the 40 and reaches the 42 for a gain of about 4. That'll bring up 2nd and 6 for the Knights.
Good run there from Hussey. I mean, it's kind of interesting. You'll see Hillcrest, it looks like a toss, but they're still running it between the tackles.
And there's multiple ways that they choose to run the football in this diverse offense for Kevin Meyer. Toss back again to Hussey, and Hussey going to be brought down again for a short pickup. Maybe a yard. Maybe even a half yard. Not very much that time for the Knights, and that'll bring up 3rd and about 5. Clock still moving here. 11 minutes and 5 seconds to go here in the 3rd.
Might not be a bad time for a play action.
And we talked about that. Now, again, the wind is blowing from about the southwest, and that is the direction, and the Knights are heading towards the south goal, so that could play a factor here, but they're going to line up with a 2-receiver set. Austin in the gun. Austin's going to run it himself.
There on his plant, the old plant and go. The only problem with that is if you slip on your plant, it's hard to go.
Field, 4th and across the 50 to the 46-yard line on the reception for Hillcrest. Appeared to be
It was just so funny to watch people because it was like slow motion. They all tried to reach up for it. None of them could quite get it.
2-point conversion was good. Makes it 35-14. Hillcrest leading Shelley right now, and Haas set to kick. Feel bad for the fans who don't have ear coverings over their ears down in the stands, just because of how cold and bitter that is.
Yeah, me too.
End of the 3rd quarter, by the way. Bishop Kelly only leading CUNA 18-8. Ball fielded at the 23-yard line. On the return, left side is Peyton Carlson. Carlson with a good head of steam. And he runs out of bounds, or is brought down, right around the 43-yard line. So not a bad run that time on the return for the Russets, as they have some work to do here, trailing by 3 touchdowns.
Still plenty of time left. I mean, you're down 3 scores, but Shelley's going to have to probably come close to their season high if they want to win this game.
8:29 to play here in this 3rd quarter. First and 10 right now for the Russets. Here's Ray on a high snap. Pumps out near side. That is completed to Remington, but that's going to end up being a loss of 3 yards back to the 40.
That was just great pursuit by the Hillcrest defense, sniffing that thing out right from the get-go. They're playing this tight man-to-man coverage on the outside for most of the game, and you rely a lot on your corners when you do that to kind of stay in the pocket of these receivers. They've done a fairly good job of it tonight.
We'll bring up second down and 13 yards to go from the 40. Spread formation for the Russets. 5 receivers. Here's Ray. Here comes the pressure. Ray brought down in the backfield at the 29. And the sack will be credited to Hillcrest's Ed Carl. Carl, the 6'3", 235-pound senior, and that is going to bring up 3rd and long here for Shelley.
Well, now you got to come up with something creative here if you're Shelley. 3rd and 24. This is a play that they almost have to have.
7:07 and counting remaining here in the 3rd. You could say really 3rd and about Rigby to go here for the Russets. This time pistol formation. And flags are going to fly here. And this will be a false start against the Russets, so make it even longer.
That's one where the white hat's going to come over and say everybody but the center.
Yeah. It wasn't on one particular person. It was on almost everyone that time. 6:50 to go here in the 3rd. We'll call it now 3rd and Rexburg to go. Just keeps getting, the distance keeps getting longer.
Just keeps
here.
Going further and further up the highway.
The Russets need to reach the 47-yard line in Hillcrest territory. They're at their own 25. Here's Ray rolling right down the near sideline and throws it out of bounds. Closest receiver on the play was Parker Hansen. And that'll bring out the punt unit for the Shelley Russets. They will have the wind to their back, though, if there is a saving grace about this, the fact that they are going to have to kick it away. Maybe the wind will aid them just a bit. In to kick is McBride. Here's a snap, a good snap this time. McBride nearly had it blocked. Another solid kick. Pushing Hillcrest back down to the 20, and they're going to let it go. And it rolls down to the 16-yard line. So that's about as good of a result as they could have hoped for on 4th down. And now it'll be Hillcrest football 1st and 10 from their own 16.
Yeah, it was a good punt. Got some good distance on that. And if you're Hillcrest, as punt returner, you have to make the adjustment to the wind, which is a lot harder than people
it's way harder
to think it is. When you see that ball, especially at night, too.
Yeah. With the field lighting and how it works here. It's not like this. It's not like this is NFL or college stadium caliber lighting by any means.
Right.
Where you have lights upon lights upon lights upon lights. Here it's, well, we've got 4 poles and some lights on top, hopefully illuminating the whole field. 1st and 10 from the 16. Toss sweep right side to Oakley Hussey. And Hussey gets brought down after about a 3-yard pickup to the 19.
With the Nuremberg injury, Hussey has just become that much more important for Hillcrest. They move him in from the receiver position, so he's starting to get more carries, which is a great adjustment from Hillcrest because he's a good athlete. You want to get the ball as much as you can in his hands, and so especially with Nuremberg going down, it's just next man up for him.
That's right. 5:40 to go here in the 3rd, and Hillcrest might be trying to play a little ball control right now, take some time off the clock as they lead by 21 here. I formation, tosses it back. On the run appears to be Hussey again, and he's going to be brought down just across the 25 to about the 26. That's close to the 1st down marker.
And now you're going to see Hillcrest just grind this thing away. They'll probably take the play clock down under 10, maybe 5, most plays. I mean, Hillcrest has Shelley right where they want him right now.
That's right, they do. We mentioned this in the opening. of tonight's broadcast how last week they held the football until 52 seconds remaining in the first quarter. They had it for more than 11 minutes of that first quarter as the Russets are unable to stop. Well, they are able to stop, the Knights on first down. I thought that it was still third down. I apologize. Short pickup. It'll bring up second down, and we'll call it 8.
And that right there, what Hillcrest did to Skyline in that first quarter, is why Hillcrest is going to be so dangerous if they make the playoffs. Which, from what it's looking like right now, they will.
Again, if they win tonight, Hillcrest clinches the conference title, as they own the tiebreakers against pretty much everyone else. They only have one more game remaining in conference play, and I believe that's against Blackfoot, actually. On the run is Austin once again up across the 30 to about the 32. Let me just double check that so I'm not giving you false information. That is correct. Next week they play at Blackfoot.
And that's their last game of the year?
No, then they play at Thunder Ridge.
Okay.
On the final night of the season. And
I was going to say they'll be well rested for the playoffs.
Yeah, they should. Yeah. Most 4A and 5A schools will play 9-game schedules. You get the occasional one who only plays 8. But I know that there's been some talk in some circles saying that they want every school in the state to play the same amount of games if possible. Or at least in each classification. Handoff to Hussey coming to the near side, gets tripped up and falls forward to about the 38-yard line. That's enough for a first down. But yeah, they play at Blackfoot, but again, you look at the standings for Hillcrest. You know, they've beaten Idaho Falls, who's currently sitting in, I believe it's 4th. They've beaten Bonneville, who's sitting in 3rd. They beat Skyline, who's sitting in 2nd. And everyone else has 2 losses. And so they own all the tiebreakers there. And so if Hillcrest wins tonight, that puts them at 4 wins, no losses. Even if they were to lose to Blackfoot, they would own the tiebreaker for the most part, since Blackfoot already has 2 conference losses. Up the middle is Hussey on the run, down at the 43. So again, yeah, conference title on the line tonight, and you know, this game is big for 2 different reasons. One, for Shelley to try to, boost their playoff hopes, and for Hillcrest to seal the deal.
Right, and for Hillcrest, if they are able to hold on tonight and clinch the conference, be the first trip to the playoffs in
7 years.
I was going to say 4.
Yeah, 7 years. It's been a while. Yeah, Hillcrest has not made it to the playoffs since our good friend Tyler Belknap was the quarterback for Hillcrest. Looks like Hussey is brought down again. Nope, take that back. That's actually number 43, Cannon Young, the fullback.
I bet you that's one way you can make Tyler feel old.
Oh, no doubt. He's a assistant coach for Hillcrest now. You go down on the sideline and go bug him a little bit about that. If you want to know this, one of the first playoff games I called was Hillcrest's playoff game against Blackfoot in the state semifinals in 2011. I didn't know Tyler at the time. I only met him a couple years later, but handoff to Hussey. Hussey's going to be close. It's all depending on the spot here. It appeared it's almost right straight on from where I'm standing, and I think he was just short, which will bring up 4th and short here, depending on the spot.
I'll bet you they go for it. I mean, it's 4th and less than a yard.
And there's only 1:30 remaining here in the first quarter, or third quarter. There's a big giant 1 up on the board.
you tried to get out of it by saying first half and then first quarter.
I almost got out of it too. I just kept digging myself. Yeah. The first part of the second half. There we go.
There you go.
Austin under center, and they've got the first down once again to about the 49. Yep, so that is enough for the first down with 1:11 remaining here in the third. Lots of games on Thursday night being played around the state here tonight. Lots of games over in the Treasure Valley being played tonight. Of course, it's, I know, statewide in-service days. And for the most part, most school districts take their in-service days for teacher training and preparation and stuff like that. They take them kind of all at the same time. But for over here, for the most part, most schools are going to play on a Friday night. I believe Bonneville has a home game tomorrow night, which is why Hillcrest is playing here on a Thursday. Austin, little RPO, keeps it himself and gets brought down at midfield for maybe a half-yard pickup. First man there for Shelley. And I believe it was Connor Malcolm. Down to 45 seconds remaining here in the third.
Hillcrest, this is a team that, especially down in 4A, coming down from 5A now, has the recipe to win a lot of football games in November.
Yes, they do. And they have just continued to progress under first-year head coach Kevin Meyer. 3 receiver set this time for the Knights, down to 16 seconds remaining. Handoff up the middle, and nothing going that time for the Knights. On the run was Trey Kofi. And that's going to end the third quarter of play. So that'll make it Shelley trailing Hillcrest 35-14. We'll take a timeout. When we return, fourth quarter action. It's coming up for you next, live and free on idahosports.com.
Cable One brings high-speed internet to the greatest town on earth. Yours. Where your life story is written on every street corner. At Cable One, it's where we call home too. So the place you're most connected to is the place where you're connected to the world. The place that means everything is the place you can do anything. Cable One, high-speed internet comes home.
You're watching East Idaho Game Night. The Shelley Russets versus the Hillcrest Knights. Live on idahosports.com.
Back here at Thunder Stadium in Idaho Falls. Matt Harris and Lucas Gebhardt here with you as we begin the fourth quarter of action. Kind of a relatively fast third quarter. A lot of running in that quarter by the Knights to chew up the clock.
I think Hillcrest only threw the ball once, and it was on that fourth down.
On third down and 8, not a lot going for the Knights as they only reach the 45-yard line. I believe it was Taylor Sloan as the ball carrier, so 4th and 5 here from the 45 as the clock continues to move. And the Knights just going to just milk this clock for all it's worth.
That's why you don't want to fall behind Hillcrest, especially multiple scores late in the game. This is a coaching staff that understands clock management.
Play action. Austin throws it right side, overshot it. And they're going to say it's incomplete. It looked like Brandon McBride for Shelley nearly intercepted that, but he's unable to come down with it. And on 4th and 5, the Hillcrest Knights are unable to convert. And honestly, it's probably from a field position perspective, it's a good thing that McBride dropped the football, because it saved him about 10 yards in the end.
Yeah, it did, and I don't know if he maybe realized that on purpose.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who knows, but we'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
We will. The Russets get the football back, 1st and 10 from their own 45 with 11 minutes and 8 seconds remaining here in the fourth quarter. Play action. Ray throwing it left side, little wheel route to the near side, looking for Hansen, and he can't bring it in. Defense provided by Zach Brown for the Knights. That was the play that Hansen scored on towards the end of the first half. That worked out beautifully, and the same play nearly happened again, except this time the pass wasn't quite on, a little bit too far out to the outside. Hansen still nearly brought it down, but alas, it's incomplete.
I was about to say, I think if Shelley's still playing in the 3A, I think that's a touchdown.
Right.
But it's just these defenses up at 4A, they're just a little bit quicker. They're a little more disciplined, and they get to the ball just a little bit quicker.
4 receivers set, ball thrown out into the flat near side to Remington, trying to get upfield, and gets whacked at the 48. So gain of 3, it'll bring up 3rd down and 7. And there's an official's timeout on the field. And it looks like Haas is going to come off here. Might be shaken up. I don't quite know what happened right there. All I know is that the officials blew their whistle and called for a timeout on the field. Oh, here's an interesting score for you. The number 1 ranked team in the state, Middleton, is trailing Nampa 28-21. End of the 3rd quarter.
That could shake some things up.
Just a bit. Of Middleton, the only remaining undefeated team in the state right now. Should that result hold, that would be a major upset.
Might result in Hillcrest being the number 1 team next week.
That's right. Here's Ray on play action. In trouble. Here comes the pressure. Ray gets tripped up all the way back at the 36-yard line. And Ed Carl got him again. His 2nd sack on the night. And out comes the punt unit. Well, no, I take that back. Is it 3rd down or... No, it's 4th down. Out comes the punt unit here for Shelley.
It's been an interesting year in the 4A classification as well. I mean, you have the first year of that new mega conference with districts 4 and 5, where, I mean, Century has just blown through their schedule with the exception of, well, I mean, they're running to Highland tonight, but they ran into Orem, Utah week 1. But, you know, those are 2 quality losses there.
And the kick from McBride goes high in the air, gets a gust of wind, and just dies at the 47. Not the kick he was looking for. Going back to what you're saying, next week Century's going to play Minico, and that's for the Pod Championship and potentially a top seed coming out of the combined District 4-5 conference. So that could be a very, very big game, and of course afterwards Highland and Madison going to be doing battle. So
right. I mean, that's... Holt Arena is probably the place to be next Friday.
Yeah. Those could be 2 very good football games. Minico, in fact, I take that back. Minico is undefeated as well. They're just not as highly ranked, I guess. Earlier I said Middleton was the lone undefeated. Curtis going deep down the right side, a little bit too deep for Trey Henry. That'll bring up 2nd down and 10 with 9:14 to play here. Yeah, Minico is the only other undefeated team in 4A as of right now. I failed to mention that. I also failed to think about it, but Minico is ranked 4th in the coaches poll, not ranked in the media poll. So there's that. Take that for what it's worth. On 2nd and 10, I formation. Toss left side to Oakley Hussey. Hussey with some room to run. Hussey still on his feet and finally brought down in Shelley territory at about the 30. Big gain on the play of 23 yards. And that'll bring up 1st and 10 from the 30 with 9:06 to go here in regulation. I formation once again here for Hillcrest. Going left side to Hussey, trying to bounce it outside. Still on his feet, lowers the shoulder, and he's going to have another 1st down across the 20 to about the 18. And right now, Hillcrest they've gone a little bit more tempo here, Lucas, but they're trying to emphasize the run once again to keep the clock moving.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they're keeping it on the ground, which I'm sure is the number 1 priority here for Hillcrest, but you know, they're starting to pick it up a little bit, and they're starting to catch Shelley back on their heels.
Hussey up the middle and is brought down near the 14. Gain of about 4. That'll bring up 2nd down and 6. 8.5 to go here in the 4th. Trying to get you some scores from around the state as we can see them coming in on Twitter. Right now, Mountain View is clobbering Bora 41-24 with 4 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. 2nd and 6 here. Offset I formation this time. Handoff up the middle. Big hole again for Hussey. Down to the 5-yard line. And a pickup of about 9 yards. It's 1st and goal now for the Hillcrest Knights.
The 5A SIC is one conference that I have just not been able to figure out this year.
All I have to know is when I have to write that playoff tiebreakers and scenarios article next week.
Have fun with that.
Right. That's going to be a mind bender right there. Hand off again to Hussey, and he's into the end zone for the touchdown to make it 41-14. Oakley Hussey from 5 yards out with 7:37 remaining here in the 4th.
29, Oakley Hussey with a 5-yard touchdown.
I mean, really, tonight you've just seen why Hillcrest has been so good and dominant this year. Not necessarily what they do in the first half, it's what they do in the second half, and they just keep coming after you with that running attack.
And now Haas will come in here to attempt the extra point. He missed one earlier. Hussey to hold. Snap's good, hold is good, the kick is also good. So that makes it Hillcrest 42, Shelley 14. We take a timeout, and when we come back, we'll bring you the ensuing kickoff from Hillcrest back to Shelley right here on IdahoSports.com.
Cable One brings high-speed internet to the greatest town on earth. Yours. Where your life story is written on every street corner. At Cable One, it's where we call home, too. So the place you're most connected to is the place where you're connected to the world. The place that means everything is the place you can do anything. Cable One, high-speed internet comes home.
You're watching East Idaho Game Night. The Shelley Russets versus the Hillcrest Knights. Live on IdahoSports.com.
Thunder Stadium, location of tonight's game, 42-14 is your score. Hillcrest out in front of the Shelley Russets. And now Haas will kick it back to Shelley. Another booming kick. And that one goes into the end zone, nearly nails the white hat who had to run to get out of the way. And that will be 1st and 10 now for Shelley from the 20-yard line. Again, thanks to our major partners, Cable One, your local Toyota dealer, the Idaho Sports Prepcast, presented by Project Filter, and of course, Swag Monkey Promotions. Coming up at the conclusion of the ball game will be our IdahoSports.com player of the game, presented by Swag Monkey Promotions. Our power boosters tonight: Z103, EastIdahoNews.com, A&B Transmission, Porterhouse Inc., Cox Honey Farms, Hard Times Quick Stop, Adrenaline Performance, Wendy's Deliciously Different, and KVO Cabinets. And of course, tonight's game sponsors, the Post-Register and the Idaho State Journal. Ray still in at quarterback. He will line up in the pistol. 4 receivers, 3 to his left side in the trips formation. All thrown and dropped across the middle. The intended receiver looked like that was Parker Hansen. And that'll bring up 2nd and 10 from the 20. Another score update for you from around the state. Bishop Kelly now leading Cuna 32-8. With 5 minutes to go in the 4th. We have 7.5 to play in the 4th here at Thunder Stadium. Russets will line back up once again. 1st and 10 from the 20. Ray flushed out of the pocket. Now has to roll back to his left. Trying to throw it upfield. And that comes up short. The intended receiver was Brandon McBride. The football did not reach the original line of scrimmage, but I don't see an intentional grounding play or in penalty on the penalty flag on the field. And so it'll still be 3rd down and 10. Clock stops with the incompletion. You know, if you're Shelley right now, trying to cut into that wind, trying to throw the football is not ideal.
And virtually impossible with how hard this wind is blowing tonight.
High snap. It goes over Ray's head. Somehow able to corral it. And the ball is on the ground. And Hillcrest has got the football. So Ray had it, tried to hand it off to the running back, who then bobbled it, and Hillcrest recovers it down inside the 10 at the 9. Well, things going from bad to worse here if you're a Russets fan.
Yeah, they sure are. I mean, it's first goal from the 9 here, and starting to get pretty late in the ball game as well.
Seven minutes and 20 seconds remaining here in the fourth quarter. This is senior night. As I understand, it's also homecoming night for Hillcrest. They're trying to kick off the weekend right, so to speak, they can continue here and pick up the victory. Up the middle on the run, coming up about a yard shy of the touchdown was Trey Kofi. And it'll bring up second and goal now from the 1. And coming up at the conclusion of the ball game will be the Idaho Sports Player of the Game. Don't miss it. Handoff again to Kofi. He lost the football. Shelley says they have it. Let's see. Shelley comes away with the football. Running away with it was Parker Hansen, and that is a touchback.
Parker Hansen has had himself a really nice ball game tonight.
Yeah, he has. He's been a pretty key factor for Shelley, and so it makes his impact felt defensively there. And now the officials are going to talk about this here for just a second.
I bet you they're just trying to decide where to spot this. If he was in the end zone or if they're going to spot it at the 1.
Well, there was multiple officials that signaled it would be a touchback, but now it looks like they're going to spot this at about the half-yard line, which is probably the worst situation you can have if you're a Russet fan.
Yeah. It's...
So they come together and decide to change the spot. And this significantly changes the play, I guess the set of plays that you can call here.
It pretty much just limits it to about 2 plays. QB draw up the middle or a quick hit with the running back or fullback.
A 5-yard and out play even. Let's see here. Well, Ray's going to line up about 4 yards deep in the end zone. And the handoff right up the middle, and a little bit of breathing room gained by the Russets to about the 4. So not a bad play on first down as Remington able to pick up some yardage. 6.5 to go here in the fourth quarter. As the clock continues to move, it'll be second down in about 6. Shelley's next game will be at Ravston Stadium at Idaho Falls High School. They'll play the Tigers coming up next Friday before hosting the Blackfoot Broncos 2 weeks from now on October 19th, as that play not going to go very far, maybe a gain of 2 yards for the Russets. It'll bring up third down in about 4 with under 6 to play here. As for the Hillcrest Knights, we mentioned that their final conference game of the year will be next week at Hartcup Field at Blackfoot High School as they take on the Broncos before they head over to the new school here in Idaho Falls. The Thunder Ridge Titans await, still waiting for their first win of the season as well. And when you have a new program, very, very difficult to come by on those new wins. And Thunder Ridge has struggled this year. Here's Ray on third down. Pitches it out to Remington, trying to find his way towards the edge and will not get there. He reaches about the 7-yard line, approximately. And that'll bring up fourth down. 5 minutes and 10 seconds remaining here in the fourth.
Yeah, anytime you have a new school, it just takes a couple years to really get your culture, your players, the way you want to kind of do things within that program. Just takes a little bit of time. You saw it with Ridgeview over in the Treasure Valley. You're seeing it now with Thunder Ridge, but They'll be okay. It'll just take a couple years.
Comes a kick from McBride, a sidewinder, takes a bounce at the 35 and just kind of dies right there. It looked like it was going to roll forward, then a big gust of wind just came and stopped it right at about the 36. You know, it's funny because Thunder Ridge head coach Jeff Marshall, of course, the previous head coach from Hillcrest, but their freshman team that they've got there is very, very good. They didn't have a lot of seniors come over. They had 6 seniors on the roster at Thunder Ridge, 3 of whom who have ever stepped foot on the field during a varsity game. So, you know, you're going to have struggles there. There's a few more juniors, a lot of sophomores, and a ton more freshmen that are over there, and they have a lot of talent, and in the future they could be very successful. Of course, playing in 5A, you're going up against schools like Rigby and Madison and Highland, and you know, so it's not an easy conference by any means. Offset I formation, handoff up the middle goes to Kofi. And he is brought down for a short gain across the 35, down to about the 34 with 4.5 to play.
I was going to say, outside the SIC, over here in East Idaho, it's probably the second toughest conference in 5A.
Yep. Yep, you'd be right about that. You know, Eastern Idaho's known for its football. They're known for a lot of successful, football and basketball even, you know, and volleyball is one. Eastern Idaho struggles in soccer. It hasn't had a lot of soccer success, but
right.
You know, those 3 sports, volleyball, football, and basketball, they've actually had a lot of success. As it's a high snap, little touch pass over to Katama Haas, and Haas gets stacked up at about the 30 after a 4-yard pickup with 3:47 to go in the 4th.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of volleyball, I mean, we're here at just off the campus of Bonneville High School. I'm talking about a volleyball program. How about Bonneville, who's...
Yep. They are a very good volleyball program. And, you know, like Shelley, when they were in 3A, their volleyball program was very, very good as well, you know. And, I mean, you look at 5A, Madison has had success. And you look at 4A, Century, Bonneville, all those schools here in Eastern Idaho. Firth, Malad has had a lot of success. Haas bobbles the football and then gets knocked out of bounds over on the far side of the field, back at about the 34. Maybe even the 33. In fact, the clock is still moving, so I think he might have stayed inbounds. So 3 minutes to play here, and that'll bring up 4th down and about 8.
And you even go down to the winter sports in basketball, too, especially down in 3A and 2A.
Yep. There's a lot of success. I mean, of course, when Shelley was in 3A, they were a perennial favorite. Sugar Salem, boys and girls basketball. South Fremont was good there for a few years. You go down to Snake River.
Firth as well.
Firth, yeah, that's a good point. Timeout going to be called here on the field. We're just going to keep it right here with 2:31 to play here in the 4th. You look at...
of recent, Ryrie.
Ryrie. And that's the thing. It's like the girls have been good for like 7 or 8 years now, it feels like. The boys program was in the doldrums for just a long time. And then Eric Torgerson came back as the head coach, of course. And they've been to 2 straight state title games, fallen both times to Bear Lake. But just very good players, certainly. You know, there's a lot of success here in Eastern Idaho when it comes to the sports over here.
And a lot of times I feel like it gets overlooked by Boise as well.
Oh yeah,
the Boise
absolutely.
Area.
Well, and that's kind of natural, I guess, because Boise is the big market and they've got more media outlets there. So I get that. At the same time, though, the proof's in the pudding with how much success that there has been in Eastern Idaho. All I have to do is look at the state titles.
That's very true. I mean, I don't see any former alumni coaching in the NFL over in the Treasure Valley.
That's right. Here's Curtis, throws back across his body, and that's incomplete, but we're going to have a penalty on the play. It's sitting at the 36. This might be roughing the passer. The Shelley Russett got in there after Curtis had thrown the football and whacked him to the ground. That's not an easy thing to do because Seth Curtis is a big kid, 6'6", about 200 pounds. And let's see here. What will the call be? Or will it be against Hillcrest? I take it back. It's holding against Hillcrest. And so that will be a turnover on downs, and Shelley's going to get the football 1st and 10 at the About the 36, I believe, maybe even the 35. 2:26 to go here in the fourth. Going to spot the ball at the 30, just shy of the 35-yard line, I should say. First and 10. Coming to the near side is Kantak trying to turn up field and gets maybe a yard or two. And Idaho Sports Player of the Game coming up at the conclusion of the ball game. We'll have that for you immediately following the final snap of play. I think we've pretty much got it picked out, I think.
I think we have an idea.
Just maybe. Second down, and we'll call it 7. 1:50 to play here in the fourth. Handoff goes to Parker Hansen, and he's brought down for no gain to about the 37, 38-yard line in that area.
You want to talk about successful sports programs over on this side of the state? How about ISU? It's going to sell out their first football game in 3 decades on Saturday against Idaho.
Boy, that'll be different to see that arena full for a college football game.
No kidding.
You know, we've seen it full for high school, well, somewhat full for high school games. Handoff. And not going anywhere that time are the Shelley Russ. It's a handoff win, I believe, to Remington. That is the case.
I was talking to George Casper on Tuesday about that. They sold 8,200 tickets for that football game.
Wow.
By Tuesday. And Holt Arena only holds 12,000.
Yeah, I heard it's up to about, I think they sold 10,500 or something like that now.
I think it's around there, yeah. So still, I think there's still some available.
Yeah.
So.
This could be the final play of the ball game potentially. Here comes the kick from McBride, a sidewinder. It goes out of bounds at the 47-yard line. They'll mark him out at the 46 with 18 seconds remaining.
I'll tell you, as a student at ISU right now in my 4th year, this game on Saturday against Idaho is the most hyped up football game in my 4 years, and it's not even close.
I'll tell you, like, I've never been to an ISU football game as a fan. You know, I've always gone as a media member if I've gone. But for the most part, I mean, there's something about this game and the fact that it is being talked about so much, because you never hear anything about it. You never hear anything about ISU games in the media, or the major media, I should say, is right. The run is by Austin Needham there. And that's going to run the clock out, and that'll be your final score. 42-14 is the final here at Thunder Stadium. But yeah, you talk about ISU, of course, and mention how, the success that they're starting to have, which is very, very nice to see after so many years of futility, so to speak. But it'll be an interesting atmosphere at Holt Arena coming up.
Yeah, I mean, it should be a really fun atmosphere, and Rob Fennessy, the job he's done so far for ISU, came from Montana, coached under Bobby Houck.
Yep.
So took a lot of things from him, and he has that program going in the right direction.
So final score here: Hillcrest 42, Shelley 14. This one, I mean, I think that Trey Henry's second kickoff return for a touchdown ended up being the big difference, Lucas, because that really took all the wind out of the sails for Shelley. Shelley unable to put any points on the board in the second half as Hillcrest tried to go to their ball control game. And that was it, really. I mean, that kickoff was almost a straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, I mean, there were really 2 of them, I thought, and both of them were returned from Trey Henry. So, and it came off of both the Shelley's touchdowns, too. So, I mean, you got to win all 3 facets if you're going to beat a top 5 team.
Well, and speaking of which, let's give the Idaho Sports Player of the Game to Trey Henry.
Yeah, I mean, like we were saying, 2 kick returns tonight, which both served as just backbreakers for Shelley in terms of it started to seem like, all right, Shelley's in it. this is going to be a ball game tonight. And then Trey Henry runs back a kick. And he did it twice.
Yep.
So that's really all you need to get the player of the game.
Trey Henry, our IdahoSports.com player of the game, presented by Swag Monkey Promotions. Again, that final score here tonight, it is Hillcrest 42, Shelley 14. Shelley drops to 2-5, 0-3 in conference play. Hillcrest will improve to 6-1, 4-0 in conference play. They win the conference title and the top seed from the conference going to the state tournament. So they are officially in to the state tournament as a result of tonight's game. So congratulations to Hillcrest, ending a long playoff drought, but they are back in it, and they are back in as the top seed from the conference.
And that's got to feel good if you're a Hillcrest fan, because like we said, this is a fairly long playoff drought when it comes to Idaho high school football, but it's not like Hillcrest has been bad.
Mm-hmm.
They have just barely missed the playoffs, it seems like, almost every year.
Yep, that's
so
right.
for them to wrap it up here the first weekend of October, it's got to feel good.
Absolutely. So again, that final score, 42-14. Any final thoughts, Lucas?
Just impressed with Hillcrest in the way they played, and I said it earlier in the broadcast, they have the formula to win a lot of football games and a lot of playoff games as they go deep into November, and they're going to be right there at the end.
So there you have it. That's our final score tonight. Thanks again to Cable One, your local Toyota dealer, the Idaho Sports Prepcast presented by Project Filter, and Swag Monkey Promotions for being our major partners. Our power boosters are Z103, EastIdahoNews.com, A&B Transmission, Porterhouse Inc., Cox Honey Farms, the Hard Times Quick Stop, Adrenaline Performance, Wendy's Deliciously Different, KVO Cabinets, and our game sponsors today, the Post-Register, and the Idaho State Journal. Shelley's next game will be at Idaho Falls next Friday night. As for Hillcrest, their next contest will be on the road at Blackfoot next Friday night as well. For Lucas Gebhardt, my name is Matt Harris. Thanks for joining us this evening here from Thunder Stadium as the Hillcrest Knights win the conference and defeat the Shelley Russets by a score of 42-14. Tune in to Idaho Sports for more updated score schedules and more. Thanks so much for watching, and have a good night.
This has been a presentation of IdahoSports.com Game Streams. This broadcast is copyrighted to IdahoSports.com. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, or other use of this broadcast without the expressed written consent of IdahoSports.com is strictly prohibited.